So hello, everyone. Good afternoon. Before I begin, I wanted to share with our audience that this showcase is being recorded, and also to ensure captioning, please make sure you click on that closed captioning on your Zoom. So with that, welcome to our first time in college and our new transfers to Seattle University Summer Club Showcase. And truly thank you for joining us today. My name is Angel Asuncion Reed, and I use she, her pronouns. I am the Assistant Director at the Center for Student Involvement, and I have the honor and privilege of working with our club communities and their amazing leadership, who you are seeing right now. Today, you'll have the opportunity to meet and listen to a group of panelists comprising of club and organizational leaders and learn about their journey and experiences with campus involvement, club communities, and their leadership roles. They are also part of a bigger club community on campus of over 150. Seattle University clubs and organizations contribute so much to the social, cultural, political, and learning landscapes of our campus, and sometimes beyond campus. They truly are the lifeblood of student engagement on campus. You will also have the opportunity to meet more of the clubs and their leaders later, and so we invite you to join us at our virtual Fall Involvement Week happening during the week of September 21st. So please save that date. And more information on this will be coming up soon on Connect SU. But for today, I'm thrilled and excited for all of you to meet our club and org leaders on this panel, and also to meet our co-moderators, Chavi Mehta and Adeline Sugang. They are 2020 alums of Seattle University. In fact, they just graduated this spring. They left such a legacy of meaningful work as student leaders at SU, and I'm just so very grateful for their time to be with us today to moderate the showcase. So with that, please help me welcome Chavi and Adeline.
Thank you, Angel, for such a lovely introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. My name is Adeline. I am a recently graduated nursing student from Seattle University. I'm a transfer student from Shoreline Community College, an international student from Jakarta, Indonesia, and I use she, hers for my pronouns. And I was the president for Tau Sigma, which is a transfer honor society, and the vice president for SUSNA, which is the Seattle University Student Nurse Association. Wow, I couldn't believe it. I just transferred to Seattle University exactly 2 years ago. I first came into Seattle U not knowing everyone. I remember my first day was the first time ever I visited the campus. So I did not know which class I was supposed to go, did not have a single friend. Looking back, I felt that the involvement that I've been able to get from Tau Sigma and the SUSNA has been the people that I've become close with over the year, has become the people that I considered my family. And later on, I also joined the International Student Center as the programming assistant, and that also become my third family. Wow, it was just a long journey, and I'm excited to share some of my questions, some of Chavi questions, listening to the panelists and share with all of you about all of our journey. Now I'm going to introduce Chavi, my fellow moderators.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Adeline, and thank you, Angel, for the lovely welcome as well. My name is Chavi. I am an international student from India, and I came to the United States when I was 19 years old. Like Adeline, I also went to a community college first, and then my educational adventure at Seattle University began in the year 2018. Transition to a university can be pretty hard, can be daunting, but at the same time exciting. I think something that's really helped with my transition was definitely being involved on campus, as Adeline mentioned in her many hats. So as part of SU, I was part of the Alfie Scholars Program, which is a program designed for underrepresented transfer students. I also was part of Tau Sigma. I am part of Tau Sigma thanks to Adeline and her presidency. I'm also part of Alpha Sigma Nu, which is another Jesuit honor society, and I also serve as a student representative for Ignatian Leaders. And the list for sure goes on, as you would hear from our many panelists on this session today. I'm very excited to be here, very excited to meet all of you, and I look forward to our session. Thank you. And before we dive in, I'd like to begin with our land acknowledgement. As we begin our gathering, we respectfully acknowledge that our event today is taking place on occupied Coast Salish land and that Seattle University is on the homelands of the Duwamish people. We pay respect to Coast Salish leaders, past and present, and extend that respect to their descendants and to all Indigenous people. To acknowledge this land is to recognize its longer history and our place in that history. It is to recognize these lands and waters and their significance for the peoples who lived and continue to live in this region, whose practices and spiritualities were and are tied to the land and the water, and whose lives continue to enrich and develop in relationship to the land, waters, and other inhabitants today.
All right, now I'm going to ask the panelists to introduce themselves. But before that, I invite you all, the attendees, to also introduce yourself. You can introduce where you are zooming from. You can also introduce your major and the type of involvement that you're hoping to get into when you got into Seattle University. As for the panelists, I hope you can introduce your level of college, whether you are a first year transfer international student, your identity and pronouns, your major, and also the organization that you are a part of. All right, who wants to start first?
I can start real quick if you guys wouldn't mind. Hello, everyone. I am Braden Camerata. I use he, him pronouns. I am a rising junior at Seattle University, and I am the current president of the Seattle University Rotaract Club on campus. And I'm majoring in forensic science.
I can go next. Hi everybody, my name is Hannah Marie and I'm from the Pueblo of Isleta, New Mexico. And in Tiwa, which is my native language, my name is Eshiri, which is like the one in the parentheses on my title. And I'm the past president of the Indigenous Students Association on campus. I was a transfer student my sophomore year, and I just graduated last quarter with a BA in Environmental Studies and a minor in Biology. And my pronouns are she, hers. Oh, I'm also the past president of the Green Team.
I can go next. Hi, everybody. My name's Erica Moore. I'm an incoming junior. I use she, her pronouns. I'm double majoring in philosophy and environmental studies, and I'm the incoming president of SGSU, which is student government here on campus.
I can go next. Hi, my name is Peony Chung. I use she, her pronouns. I'm a rising senior, majoring in nursing and minoring in psychology. I'm representing Hidaka Taiko today as their president.
Hi all, my name's Noah. I'm a rising junior, but I'm also a transfer student. And I'll be representing Red Zone. I'm the vice president for athletics. And I'm majoring, in journalism.
Hi, I'm Andrew Koken, he, him pronouns. I'm a rising junior, and I'm representing the robotics club. I'm a computer engineering major.
Hi, my name is Mason Brown. I'm the president of the SU Roleplay Club. I'll be entering my 4th year as a physics major.
Oh, okay, I'll go. My name is Adelia Watson, she, her, and I'm 4th year, graduating in March, finally. And I am an environmental studies student and with a writing minor. And I'm a Black Student Union. So I'm the president. Yeah.
Hey y'all, my name is Marrakesh. I'm a rising junior. I use she, her pronouns. I am getting a double degree in environmental studies and public affairs, and I'm the chair of external affairs for student government this year and the previous vice president from last year.
Hi, my name is Shannon Christensen. I use she, her pronouns. I am a first-year grad student, and I'm getting my master's in criminal justice, and I am the executive director for the Student Events and Activities Council, or SEEK.
Hi, my name is Jaydev Vella. I am a rising junior majoring in business management, and I'm minoring in entrepreneurship and innovation. I'm here representing the American Marketing Association, which is the marketing club in the business school.
All right. Thank you so much, everyone, for introducing yourselves. I guess the first question would be, why did you all choose to be involved at SU? What were some of the factors that helped you make that decision?
I can go first. I think being a transfer student might have had a lot to do with it because I transferred in my sophomore year, and kind of I think it was Adeline was saying her first day on campus was her first day of classes, and mine was fairly similar where I came for the orientation, but I was in Seattle for less than 24 hours because I flew in that morning and then I flew out that night again to go back home. So I was just here for the paperwork, but I think it was just trying to like find a community on campus, I guess, because on my first month on campus, I'm very quiet and shy, so it was hard to like meet people. But just getting involved, I realized how friendly everyone was, and it was really opening. So.
I can definitely relate to that. Being a transfer student, I actually transferred after or midway through my freshman year. And so coming in midway through your freshman year is definitely also an awkward time to transition. And so I like really was searching for a community, and I found Red Zone was kind of my community, or at least the first community I found at SU. And that's kind of why I started becoming involved.
For me personally, I often find it difficult to get out of my shell, so I want to get involved in clubs and stuff like that as a way to meet new people and push myself a little bit. So, but I was cautious when I started, but after I started, I realized how inviting and how opening the clubs were, and how much they made me feel at home, even going to the first or second meeting. So that kind of what kept me involved with them over the years.
I think kind of similarly, I got involved in clubs originally because I was interested in finding a community, and clubs just make that so easy, like the organized way to meet people in a common space with common interests has been fantastic for making new friends, meeting new people. Yeah.
Yeah, I personally initially just very little involvement. Like I went to the club fair initially, didn't really do anything. I just signed up for a million things and then basically didn't show up. But then since I personally had done robotics in high school and even before that, it felt like something I was missing and I wanted to keep doing it. So I just found a couple of like-minded people and we've kind of just been pursuing what we enjoy.
Like everyone else, I just joined a club to try and find a community. But honestly, during freshman year, I just had a lot of extra time and I just didn't want to sit in my room with my roommate all day. So I decided to go out and trying to find a community that had similar interests as me. So.
For me, I've always been really passionate about politics and public affairs. So, of course, when learning about more opportunities on campus, I wanted to join student government and meet some cool people who were also really like-minded.
Yeah, kind of similar to that. I didn't get involved with Seek until a little bit later in kind of like my club journey, but the first club I joined was Criminal Justice Club because, as I said earlier, I'm a criminal justice major. I got my undergrad at Seattle U and now I'm getting my master's here too. But just kind of finding more people that are interested in the same things that I am, and then kind of seeing that there was a club for that where I could meet those people and talk to them and get to do cool opportunities that I wouldn't get to if I wasn't a part of the club was a major motivator for me to get involved.
Anyone else want to share or? All right, I think we can move on to the next question. Thank you, everyone. And I can see how when we join a club, no matter when it is in our educational journey, it can be at the start, it can be later on. But I think finding our own involvement, clubs, organization, it's kind of not just finding a club, it's finding a friends, finding a community, finding people who share our similar interests, identities, values, experience, especially like being, like, for example, a transfer student. So I'm glad that we're all able to find our community here. But there's definitely some challenges that can arise even with a club or organization that we deeply care about. So my next question is, did you find any particular challenge in your communities, in your organization? And if yes, can you please share them? And how do you overcome those challenges?
Some challenges that I've run into are like overcommitment to clubs and time management kind of thing. Like you can get involved in so many things that are so amazing that it can be hard to like figure out what you want to prioritize. But something that's helped a lot with that is just being willing to be like vulnerable and honest and communicate your needs with the other folks in your communities so that they know what's going on, and just having open lines of communication can be really helpful.
Yeah, I would say similar to Erica, just kind of an experience that happened with me freshman year was I signed up for a lot of clubs, but then I never actually went to any of them because I think it was a lot easier for me to sign up instead of actually like kind of physically going to the meetings. Just because it's very nerve-wracking kind of going into an environment that you're not familiar with and with people that you don't necessarily know. So I think a challenge for me was kind of pushing myself out of my comfort zone to go and meet new people. But once I kind of forced myself to do it, I was really glad that I did. So just kind of overcoming that kind of anxiety that you might have about going out and meeting these people and going to different club events and meetings. It was really worth it. So I recommend that.
A recent challenge that I can think of that we've had to face, all of us, is this transition to the quarantine and functioning primarily via online. Luckily for our club, as a primary recreational one, we're able to meet up via Zoom and hold meetings that way and still have fun. We also have set up a Discord server so that way we can stay in constant communication with each other, so we can stay in touch and make sure everybody knows what's going on. So it's just that, this new time is scary and adventurous, but we're finding new ways to stay in contact with each other and make sure that our clubs are still active despite the quarantine.
I can go. So I'm with the Black Student Union, and we are a very small population on campus. So we really struggle with people showing up to meetings. In the past couple, I think since the beginning, it's always been weekly meetings, but we realize that especially Black students have to fulfill so many obligations to groups that don't appeal to their identity, like their Black identity, so they have problems just coming to our meetings. So we reduced the number of meetings that we're having per quarter. We're having them 3 times a quarter rather than weekly, and just making them a little bit longer. But yeah, our biggest problem has been keeping people engaged and coming to like show up for the club. But it's taken a lot of just like planning and dedication, just like a few folks in BSU primarily that just dedicate their time to it, because there's a lot of work, especially in the social justice realm, that SU needs to like bulk up on, and it just takes a few of us to be able to make that change. And it's a lot of stuff that, like the work in my club, a lot of people are scared to do. We're starting the first scholarship, identity-based scholarship, student-led, student-organized. So that's just been we've been involved in a lot of work in the past couple months, trying to make big change. And not that a lot of people are scared of it, but there's not enough support in us doing this work, and just keeping people engaged. I think that's just a thing, keeping people engaged or just giving a platform for everyone else to participate in the club is a big issue that every club has to face. But for us, it gets a little harder. But yeah, I think we're really attacking that issue head on this year.
Yeah, definitely in the same vein that for a robotics club where people want to build robots, it's kind of hard to do that if you can't actually meet up in person. Spring quarter was a bit of a lull for us. Since we had so many plans, like we had a tournament we were going to compete in the fall and all these other things, but it's not really possible to do that as it is. So we've been working hard, and we've at least found various things that we can do online, even if you just design a robot and just do the computer-aided design for it, just virtually, and do what we can, at least trying to keep up with regular meetings as we are able to.
Yeah, I think one of the challenges for me with the club in the beginning was just kind of finding it, because we are a fairly small club. Like I think each year we have like kind of less than 10 members, but I was able to find it maybe a month in of being on campus. But another thing that's kind of a challenge in the club is just trying to, I guess, let all of you know that we want to welcome everybody, because I know with Native identity, there's a lot of like issues, and there's a lot of it can be uncomfortable sometimes to talk about your identity. But I just want to let you all know that we're here not just for like Native Americans, but Hawaiians and Samoans, and it's just all the indigenous people. And so I hope you can feel welcomed into the club. And I forgot to mention in the beginning that I'm also still on campus. I'm actually the administrative assistant for the Indigenous Peoples Institute, which is kind of what the club Indigenous Students Association is under. And so if you have any questions about the space and the resources we have, like please ask me. But I think I was just kind of trying to find the club, so I'm hoping you guys know it's here now. But yeah, just please feel welcomed. And yeah, there's nothing, yeah.
A kind of personal challenge that I had with in the club space at least was at first I was very hesitant to get involved in a leadership position in the club. I just don't didn't really see myself as a strong leader or someone who really should be a leader. But over the first few years, the past leadership had been really nurturing and really allowed me to go at my own pace and take small positions and finally work up until, as you can see now, I'm the president of the club. And it's kind of there. It's very difficult for me, like, think of me, like, if you would ask me in freshman year, like, would you have been president of the club, I would say straight no to your face. Just didn't feel like that was something I could do. But now I feel ready and I feel prepared for this position I'm taking on.
Anyone else would like to share? Okay, well, thank you so much again for being so vulnerable and honest in your stories. A lot of what I heard was in the beginning over commitment to a lot of clubs. I think I could resonate with that a lot, especially with the fall involvement fair and me being all crazy about stickers, buttons, and signing up for basically everything. I also overwhelmed myself in that way. Also, it was nerve-wracking for a lot of you in the beginning, but it seems like you all pushed yourself out of your comfort zone. The transition to quarantine was a bit harder, but like you all talked about with the planning and commitment to your mission statement and your values for all of your clubs has helped you to become more comfortable in adapting to this new community. So my next question to all of you is, who were some of your mentors or support systems at SU that have helped ease your transition into SU? You can give a shout out to a few if you'd like.
I think in the case of the American Marketing Association, I was lucky to have one of our professors in the business school, Professor Joe Barnes, as our mentor for the club. And that is similarly the case for many other clubs on campus, as they have a faculty advisor who is either a professor or works in the departments or has some kind of a connection with the club they're dealing with. So the advantage with that kind of an exposure is that you get direct advice from someone who has been in the field for a very long time and pretty much achieved the master level or the expert level status in what they're dealing with. So you don't need to test everything by yourselves because they have already done that for you and they just tell you on which path to take, and which makes the things a whole lot easier. And that being said, our club usually hosts an event every year, and it's one of the largest major centric events in the business school, and this is particularly for marketing students. And other business other business majors were included in this, and they're equally involved as well. But the main focus is marketing students as a marketing club. So we bring in around 15 to 20 companies from the Seattle's most eminent business communities, and all of them represent each field of marketing, which is different from one another. So if I have to say, it's like a tree with so many branches, and not each branch is the same, but the roots are the same, which lie in marketing. So all these students, they interact with them because the approaches to marketing are so widespread that not one interaction with a certain field can give you a whole round idea of what happens in there. And the role that my professor or the faculty advisor played in this whole situation was to network and help us reach out to these professionals. And these were people from Boeing or Tableau or Twitch or companies like that you probably heard of. And having the students interact with them and talk to them is a great opportunity for us hosting it, as well as for the students getting value through it. And also in terms of regular scheduling, being able to network with others or trying to get value to the overall club offerings is literally what our club's faculty advisor has been helping with us as a continued process. And not just with me as a president, he was there as a faculty advisor since 2013 when the first club first started. So he has seen many presidents come and go, and he has seen and shaped many people in their leadership approaches. So yes, I did have a very great experience and a continued experience with my faculty advisor and mentor.
Yeah, I think my first mentor, my first real mentor on campus was the advisor that was given to me for my department or for my college. And she was just so helpful in figuring out how to kind of work the SU system because it's fairly tricky, especially if you want to sign up for classes and you don't know how to navigate it. So I highly recommend really talking to your advisor. But a lot of I have a lot of mentors, but a lot of them I got from the clubs I'm involved in because Yolanda Cedars, she actually works for the Center of Environmental Justice and Sustainability on campus. And I was able to meet her I was able to meet her through the Green Team. And it was just kind of collaborating on a project and a program that we were trying to put on. And then from our initial conversation, and I've realized this with all the faculty, or like most of the faculty on campus, that if you start like one conversation, it doesn't really end with that conversation. Like they'll always kind of be there for you. Or if you talk about something and they kind of remember you, they'll send you links and forward like information for different internships and opportunities. And so I think reaching out to people, like the faculty, would be really nice. And yeah, and at the Indigenous Peoples Institute, we actually do a little mentor program. And so through them, I was able to get another mentor. And she was really nice because I had my mentors for the academic side of SU, but she was more of my personal person I go to for emotional support. And so just having that on campus in both of the capacities was really helpful because it's a whole experience. But
So SGSU operates basically within the CSI office, the Center for Student Involvement. And honestly, like, even if you don't sign up for any clubs, even if you walk away from this not wanting to participate in a club, go and hang out in the CSI office. All of the wonderful people there are coming and going. You get to meet club leaders, you get to see SGSU, which, you know, I always got to do a personal shout out for. You get to hang out with all of the advisors there. Angel, I also, you know, my heart goes out to you. Michelle Harper, Kowalczyk, Bernie, these are all really wonderful people who, even if you meet them for the first time for 5 minutes, really care about your experience at Seattle U and really care about the community that you can build here. So even if nothing comes of it, come and say hi to everyone in the office.
So I would like to like piggyback off of Marrakech. Like I think I don't know, I don't feel like saying the word like mentor, but like, I don't know, friend, Angel definitely works in the Center of Student Involvement. I was this, I'm freelancing this year, so I gave up my position, but I was a student involvement ambassador. So if you intend to join any clubs, the Center for Student Involvement is like the medium that helps bring clubs together and organize events. And Angel is like number one for that. Even when I was starting my position, I was like, I don't know what I want to do. Like, I want to like join all these clubs or start my own, and Angel helped me through all of that. Or, you know, just sometimes I needed to cry and she just closed the blinds and you go in there and let it loose. And just all of CSI is a pretty welcoming environment if you just want to go in and do homework. Bernie as well. Malin's not there anymore, but Malin too. It's just, there's so many places that you can go for support in terms of easing your transition to SU. OMA is another place. They work a lot with the Center for Student Involvement and identity-based clubs or social justice center clubs if you're trying to get into that. Yeah, there's just a lot of different ways you can reach out and connect with different people. Joining the club is definitely a start. And I don't know, finding mentors. I prefer to find like just friends and it works its way, and I just learn from other people that way rather than doing it, I don't know, mentoring way. I don't really see it that way. I just feel like building like connections like lifelong.
Okay, also piggybacking off of both of them about the CSI office. Whenever I first started at Seek, I'm going to be honest, I was completely terrified of that office. But the second I stepped in there It's one of the most welcoming spaces on campus that I've found personally, and all the advisors there are super nice. My advisor, DeAndre Jones, literally the best human being I've ever met. Love him so much. Yeah, that's that. But I really think that it's like, even if you don't do clubs, just go into the office once. I promise you will love it. There's literally so many like people that you can meet and so many different things that you can kind of be introduced to there that I completely highly recommend doing.
For me personally, I think one of the biggest mentors was the past president of the club. Her name was Darby Martin. She was the president when I first joined the club in when I was a freshman, and she was just so welcoming and inviting. I really felt at home just like the first moment I met her. So that was kind of something that like really, allowed me to get out of my shell and allowed me to, you know, give me the knowledge in order to become a professor myself, and um, see what I want to do when I have this sort of leadership position. So luckily enough, she's still in contact with us. So even though she's graduated now, she's part of the larger Rotary organization, which is our overarching organization, which we are partnered with. And she still comes to our meetings occasionally and helps us with various issues we're having.
Adding on to what everyone else has said, as a newer club and as a person who's never really held a leadership position before, Angel has been extremely helpful with guiding me through, everything and all the complicated processes of like, I don't even know, like club things. If you're in the College of Nursing though, Jamie is literally one of the best human beings ever. She's a great advisor and she's literally always there for you, and she has a bucket of candy for after you cry and a box of tissues, which is very nice. So yeah, I love going in there.
I think in addition to like academic and club advisors, professors are another really great way to find mentors. In my experience, they're all super supportive. And if you're curious about anything that's even like even if it's barely related to anything that you've been talking about in class, they're totally willing to like talk to you about it, help you find anything like related that you could look into, connect you with other people, other resources to explore your interests and like develop your skills. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely never be afraid to reach out to any professor, any faculty or staff at Seattle U. I have not met one that hasn't been amazingly helpful or nice or willing to point me in the right direction to someone who does know what I'm asking about. For the robotics club, we started off with one faculty advisor, and he was my academic advisor. He's a great guy. Then it's like, well, I also know some other people who might be able to help you. Or I talked to other people in the department. Now we have Professor Bankhead, and he's willing to take his time to teach us various skills. And since he runs the innovation lab, he lets us use that, and it's just such amazing resources. Professor Lauer, who's in the civil engineering department, he put us in contact with a group that we're going to be doing some projects with. And so just even if you don't have any reason to talk to a professor, you actually might, and never be afraid to talk to them.
Oh, I actually want to add on to that a little for the professor part. Yeah, no, they're definitely a very big source, and don't like be afraid to reach out at all. And I just want to like say one of my friends, she's in the Albers school, and her professors have helped her so much. And some of them she hasn't taken their classes yet, but she reached out kind of beforehand and before she had to take them. But they helped her not only with her classes, but with grad school because she graduated with me. And it's just they're still like keeping in contact. And so I like what Julia said too. Instead of like using the word mentor, it's more of like a friendship because it definitely will pass that like professional stage to where you can feel more comfortable with them.
All right. Anyone have last minute thoughts again? All right. Thank Thank you everyone for sharing. I can see that we all have our own professor, instructors, advisors that open up networking opportunities, become our mentors, and most importantly, become our lifelong friends, companions, shoulder to cry on, and a support system for us at Seattle University. And I hope that the attendees, all of you future students, can also find your own professor, mentors, advisor, and even find Angel later on that can be your support system at Seattle University. I was actually, for the next questions, I'm actually inspired by Mason and Andrew's previous answer about how they have adjusted their clubs within COVID-19. So my next question is, how has your club, your organization, and your involvement been impacted, functioning, or thriving as a result of the recent online learning, COVID-19, as well as the racial injustice?
I'll start off with this one. It's a bit of a heavy subject. But so to elaborate a little quickly on what my club actually does, other than just role play, we're really a community where we try to make sure that we have fun. The way we do that primarily is by playing a Dungeons and Dragons tabletop game. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's fun. You're meant to mess around and goof off and really just nerd out. And I think that playing is something very essential to human life that people forget about a lot of the time. And so as a club, you know, during the midst of everything that's going on, with all these social justice motions forward and the inequalities that we're seeing and that are being brought to light even more so than ever, it's important to have a place to recharge, so that way you can continue continue the fight, which is so very important. And so our club, despite not being able to play in person, you know, we're playing online with each other, making sure that we're here to support one another. We do this, yeah, primarily through a Discord server, and our meetings are via Zoom. But yeah.
Yeah, I also have to leave in like 2 minutes, but I'm gonna say this. Right now, there's never a more important time for social interaction that's safe. So holding things virtually is paramount for clubs right now. And like right now, I'm in my house with my family, who I thought I wouldn't have to live with ever again because I went to college, and my partner. And I have not seen any of my friends. So when I get on a Zoom call, it's very like tiring to be able to like open the link, but then when I'm actually talking to people, it really helps out with my mental health. And just seeing new people, because it's just not safe right now. And I'm in California, so I can't even go outside with the fires going on. But I definitely think that right now is the more important time than ever for clubs to be hosting virtual events. And, you know, a lot of us we have to do a lot less commuting, so that's just more time in our day. So that's more of a reason for you to join in on a couple clubs. Like, even if you're not participating in club meetings, just listening to what's going on, like it's a podcast. I've been doing it a lot with Eventbrite events. Can definitely do that. And right now with COVID-19 disproportionately attacking the Black community, I really have to get going, especially with at SU. We recently did accommodations for finals for Black students. It eventually was passed on to everybody, but we really saw that there's a lot of work that needs to be done, and COVID-19 is just another thing in the mix, and it just accelerates our need to do work, whether that be recreation, because, you know, like role-playing can definitely does feed the soul. I got into video games, and that's really helping my soul right now. So I think that for all the attendees, you should definitely take the time to really consider something new you want to do, or just at least trying something. It definitely will take your mind off of things, or just give you another support system, especially if you're just starting at Seattle U for the first time. This would be a really good place for you to go.
I think Red Zone specifically has been greatly impacted by COVID, given that our whole mission is to bring students together. And obviously you can't really do that with COVID. But additionally, we were transitioning from a 4-person cabinet to a 10-person cabinet. And so we have like, 6 new people replacing previous members too. And so trying to put together a new cabinet and then also try to make virtual events has been pretty difficult, to say the least. And especially because I'm on the athletic side, with athletics being canceled, we've been really trying to figure out how to bring students together, especially given this time where people want community. And we really want to provide that community to them, but we also understand, it's not the same being on a Zoom call as it is being in person. So I think that's been a great challenge, although I will say I can't give away too many details because I want to have these events still be new and surprising for people. But I think that we've been really innovative and creative in coming up with new events. So I'm excited to kind of see what we can do given the virtual platform.
Yeah, very similarly with SEEK, just to say again, we're the Student Events and Activity Council. Our mission is to plan events for students on campus. We normally do Seattle programs where we take students out in different places in Seattle and do like activities, like go to like the aquarium or stuff like that, which we obviously cannot do with COVID. So having to plan these virtual events has been interesting and will continue to be interesting. But still kind of building that community with students, who are still on campus or are in the Seattle area or are coming, or no, not coming, but will be remote for different places in the country and the world it's definitely a challenge, and not being able to kind of have those in-person interactions with people due to COVID, as well as like our 3 big main events, which are Fall Ball, Battle of the Bands, and Quad Stock, which we're still trying to see, like, how do we do it in a virtual way? What is going to be effective? What is going to bring students together has been, going to be honest, a little bit of a headache, but they're going to happen, I promise. But yeah, it's definitely a challenge, but still kind of trying to build that community with students, even though we're all going to be, through our phone screens and through our laptops. It's interesting.
Yeah, for the Road Rat Club, going off your line, one of our main goals of a club is to build fellowship or friendship or community within our members and within our greater community. So we too are transitioning to Zoom meetings, and we're hopeful that, even though it's not quite the same as being in person, we're hoping that this is at least a good alternative for at least the foreseeable future. Additionally, though, our club is also very much into community service and helping the community wherever we can. And that is very difficult to do when we can't meet in person. So while we're looking at all options available and, hoping that someday soon we can return to in-person community service, we're looking for online options for us to serve, to raise money, these various things to still help our community if we cannot go there in person.
Yeah, I'm gonna kind of talk about IPI and ISA, the Indigenous Peoples Institute and the Indigenous Students Association, kind of together for a second. It was kind of really sad. Well, obviously there's so many reasons behind why COVID is sad, but IPI actually has an elder in residence program, and it's where some elders who kind of live in close areas, they come by to the office. It was kind of like once a week last quarter, and they would just hang out, and it would be they'd be in the office for a few hours, so students could come in and talk to them if they wanted to. And we would do different projects with them. Like we did shawls last year, and the girls were able to make those. And the guys didn't want to, but they had the option to make a vest if they wanted. And this year we're actually working on beading, and we're doing like earrings and necklaces and whatnot. But we had to stop that because our elders are elders, and so we had to make sure they were safe. And we're not sure when we'll be able to like start that program again, even if when fall quarter starts. So that was really a bummer. But another, like one slightly good thing that came from having to meet online was that we were able to be more inclusive of all the students, not all the students, but different students on campus, because we don't have I feel like the students that come in IPI, they range not just in age, but like whether they live on campus and whatnot, and whether they're like the traditional student, because we have some that are like in their 30s and 40s and older. Like some of them own houses and they just don't live on campus. And so it was hard for them to connect to us, especially in the, because everything does happen on campus, and because a lot of people live on campus, we did events later. So being able to do them on Zoom and online, it kind of helped bring different community members in that weren't usually able to be there with us. And so that was really nice. But yeah, we're kind of similar to everybody else, where we just kind of switched our meetings to online, and we would try to do like different events. But we did have a Snapchat. We do have a Snapchat group, and so we're trying to stay in touch through that a lot.
So as a performing arts club, obviously we can't go out and play drums together right now. So we've been having to think of more creative ways to still, I guess, play. So we've been thinking of like using wooden spoons and playing on pots and pans or something, or like pillows. So I think the challenge with COVID and everything that's going on, we just have to be more creative and think outside the box, which is nice to do, honestly, because you know, as bad as it sounds, we would have never gotten this opportunity to be more creative if it wasn't for everything that was happening.
One of the main roles of SGSU is to serve as a voice for students on campus. So one of the challenges with like not being in person anymore is still being able to hear the student voice. So we hold weekly meetings every Wednesday from 6 to 8. And I'm hoping that having those be virtual will make them more accessible for folks, kind of in the same vein that you were talking about, Hannah Marie, of like more people being able to attend because it's like online, so there's no commute time and that sort of thing. And then Marrakesh has also been doing a fantastic job like revamping our entire social media presence and making it way prettier and hopefully way more interesting to viewers. So that should be a good way to connect with folks as well.
I will just say I've kind of gone over what our sort of plans are for robotics, but just in general, outside of classes, since I know they're going to take a lot of time, and it is a bit tougher when you're stuck doing it online. But just make sure you find something that you can do outside of classes, whether it's playing games or talking to friends virtually or whatever it is that you're doing. Make sure you find something.
Anyone else would like to share? All right. I guess the transition has had its up and downs. I guess some of the lows that I've been hearing is like how to keep the community still together while y'all are transitioning to a virtual space. I could very much relate to Peony about how to try to bring the drum element in. I mean, especially as someone who doesn't like cooking at all, I would like to find another way to use the pots and pans. But I think like from what you've described and trying to keep that community feel together, even though it's like online through Zoom and Discord and other platforms, I really value that you want to keep that basic bones and the value of community and keeping everyone together. And especially that has helped with people who come from different backgrounds, who maybe are transfers, commuter students, are able to come together. So my next question is, I guess some of you have touched on this a little bit before in terms of what's going on right now with the movements and everything. How have you and your club contributed to the social, cultural, political, and learning landscape of Seattle University? I know there are a lot of words, but yeah.
Well, the Indigenous Students Association specifically, in our mission statement, a large part of it is focused on community and just kind of creating the home away from home that a lot of people, I feel like, yeah, a lot of people miss when they come to university, especially if they're out of state. But another part is trying to raise the voices and needs of the Indigenous people on campus and making sure those are heard. because, yeah, because sometimes the indigenous like voices aren't. Let me think about this for a little bit more.
I can start answering this question a little bit while she thinks for a little while. For our club, Rotaract is part of a larger organization called Rotary, which is a national organization with a common goal to try and make the world a better place, building community along the way. And for us, what we try to do to kind of help not only the school but the greater community is through various projects and various fundraising activities in order to not only give money but give our time, give our experiences in order to help the community. So we do a lot in order to help those who are having difficulties in Seattle. One of our biggest projects is we have a yearly auction to raise money. We've raised over, I think, around $20,000 over the course of the auctions in order to support the community. So that is one of our main goals. And with our connection to Rotary, we have a lot more resources, a lot more even people sometimes to help with these projects. And that's why I enjoy it. I feel that the organization is able to collate people together in order to make lasting change in these issues we face.
Okay, so yeah, I guess there's uncomfortability talking about this because there's a lot that goes into Indigenous identity and how Indigenous people are treated, not just in Washington, but across the US, because there's a lot of people, sorry, I'm like going way back and then I'll bring it in. But just Native people haven't always been treated the best. And like, it's just, we're still dealing with that. Sorry, I'm gonna get really deep for a second. It's just, there's a lot that goes into college and being a college student. And especially if you come from a place where you haven't always had the same resources as other people or the same opportunities to kind of get where you are. And something that I've seen with a lot of students, Indigenous students, when they go into college is that they're doing it on their own because a lot of us are first gen. And so it's just very confusing and especially of a culture shock. If you're coming, yeah, the culture shock was really huge for me coming to Seattle, and just in the club, that's kind of like a topic. It's an issue that we're trying to focus more on because we do want to make the Indigenous presence on campus appreciated and noticed and just like respected as everybody else. But we also have a lot of internal issues that we want to work on, and like a lot of self-improvement that we want to kind of have a focus on. And so I think just like self-reflection, the club tries to provide a lot of support for that, especially because, like I said, it's so confusing. But besides kind of trying to provide a space for students to feel comfortable being vulnerable and just like, being okay with finding out who they are and how it kind of plays into everything they've gone through and like understanding the connections that they maybe didn't realize like different things were connected. Besides that, we do want to bring awareness to different Indigenous issues happening across not just the US, but the world. And so we try to do events that focus on different issues. We're able to do a button event for the missing and murdered Indigenous women and girls movement. And we were able to donate half of our money that we got from those savings to the Mother Nation, which is it's a nonprofit organization in Seattle, and they help Indigenous women get out of abusive situations or if they just need support and resources for food and whatnot. And so we want to raise awareness for groups like that because IPI too, they have a lot of events that are focused on bringing different people on campus, like the Chief Seattle Club, and just, yeah, bringing awareness to bigger issues while reminding ourselves that it's okay to take breaks and time for yourself.
So SGSU is obviously the student government body on campus. And I think it's really important to acknowledge that we work for everyone on campus. We don't organize to like go pat ourselves on the back. We organize to listen to people on campus about the problems that are going on, both within our community, but then also in the larger world. And that's a really big part of our identity and our entire mission and existence on our campus. So something that SGSU is trying to and continuously working on is connecting with more club leaders and people and individuals on campus to really listen to what is striking home and hitting the hearts of our students on campus, to advocate and be better supporters of the students on campus. And so while we are sort of like the political group on campus, I don't really know how else to phrase that, we are really just a bunch of students who care just as deeply and just as passionately as a lot of other members on campus, and are continuing to work towards a future where students really feel valued and heard on campus.
I think similarly to SGSU, with Red Zone, I wouldn't say it's like the political side, but I would say it's like the school spirit side. And so like I touched upon in the past, we only had 4 members of the cabinet. And now that we have 10, I think that we're really looking forward into how we do support other clubs around campus, and how we can do that in a very authentic and genuine way that's coming from student to student, that then can be contagious to all students at SU, and that everyone does feel that kind of school spirit, and that everyone does feel supported in whatever club they're doing, whatever event they're doing. But I don't think we're there yet. And I am bummed that COVID happened, because I am looking forward to being on campus with everyone and having that human to human connection, and being able to be there to physically support other clubs, as well as just in general.
Does anyone have any more thoughts? Any last minute thoughts before we move on? All right. Thank you everyone for your vulnerabilities, sharing your stories. I can see that, yes, we are students. Yes, we are going to Seattle University to pursue our education, but we don't just study, we advocate, we represent, we raise student voices, we try to build connections, we raise student spirit, and we even help and create impact for the communities that we deeply cared about. And I can see how, even though we might be coming from a small club, small organization, small involved, just a small group of people being involved together, but we have such a big impact for the people, for Seattle U itself. So it was lovely that you guys are able to share about that. My next questions, it's about something fun. I want all of you to share your highlights representing your clubs, some of your favorite moments being a part of your involvement, organization, maybe your favorite events. So feel free to take the floor.
I'm gonna switch to the green team for a second. So yeah, I forgot, I'm a part of the green team too. I was a part of the green team. And we focused a lot on education events and kind of educating people around their waste practices, mostly like recycling, trash, and compost. But one of my favorite parts about being a part of the club was how involved we were with Earth Month. And if you don't know, Seattle University, we go hard when it's Earth Month. We have a whole committee. Every department has their own different events, and we all work together. And it's just, I don't know, it's one of my, yeah, it's my favorite month on campus in April. But I think that was my highlight for the green team. And then for IPI and ISA, we have community dinners every quarter where we invite all the staff and faculty and students that we can on campus, and we just like invite them to the space and we make food and we eat. And it's very simple and it's just a dinner, but it feels different from just kind of other things happening on campus. And one of my favorite things too, every year to do with the club is the Red Umbrella Parade. It's a part of the homecoming week on campus, and all the clubs are invited to participate. And there's money prizes for the clubs that goes to your club account, so that's very helpful. And yeah, this is our poster from last year. We actually won first place, and all of the different things, they represent different club members, like tribal designs and where they're from. So this one with like the cross, our student, he's Micmac from Canada, and so that's kind of what he drew. And then this one's mine. I'm Pablo, and that's that's like Pablo Designs. And this is actually the club logo. And then this one, we have Hawaiian students in the club also, and so she drew some of hers. And then the last one on the end, the student was Blackfeet, so she drew some of her designs. But I don't know, I just feel like that's a really good way for people to first meet each other, because it is in the beginning of fall quarter. And so it's just a really nice thing to do with people that's artsy.
I think my favorite event on campus is the Fall Involvement Fair, just because like everyone's out together milling around, and there's so many different like people who are so excited about what they're there for, and a lot of other folks who are just curious and interested in learning about different clubs. So it just feels like a really like kind of exciting space, because everyone is so delighted to be there and like be in community as like clubs and organizations. So I think the atmosphere there is really cool.
For me personally, some of my best experiences come from conventions. Rotary is known for throwing conventions all around the world. So I've been to conventions in Spokane, in San Jose, but my favorite I think was a convention in Vancouver. I was the one that did all the research for it. I planned all the hotels, did all that stuff. I went to our Rotary Club to ask for funding for the event so that the students would have to pay. And it was just this very like rewarding experience, and probably the weird experience of going through a border crossing for the first time since it was in Vancouver, Canada. I had to, like represent my club and, like be like, no, trust me, we're not stealing in maple syrup. We're just here for the convention. Don't worry. So just that experience, and finally being able to get there, meet amazing people, hear amazing speakers. It was just an experience I will never forget, for sure.
I'll chime in real quick here. So when we were meeting on campus, our primary room was Chardon 120. We actually had this room reserved the entire weekend, so nobody else could actually use it other than us. And so it'd be kind of funny every once in a while, students would be there studying and be like, oh no, sorry, we got to play D&D, got to leave. But it was a really fun time, and we've had a lot of memories in those rooms. They get really humid and really sweaty, but it just adds to the environment. And we all have a great time, especially when our finale sessions come up, and we're in there just for a long time. We're going crazy and having a great time, and it's one of the best ways to relieve the stress of school that I know of, and just the stress of life. No matter what was going on in my world, I always knew that when the weekend came, I could escape and I could find solace in playing D&D that weekend, no matter what. It's really the only thing that's been consistent throughout my whole time at college. So I don't know, consider joining. I would look us up at the on SU. and talk to me about it. I think we have a place for everyone here.
I'll say one of my club highlights has to be just the workshops that we do that I mentioned from Professor Bankhead, when you just get a bunch of people, all sorts of majors, and they just want to learn how to do something that, and in that lab, there's all sorts of things to do, whether you're learning how to 3D print stuff or learn how to use the laser cutters. And there's just something special about teaching people to use the power of lasers to make useful items like boxes or dinosaurs or whatever they want to do. It's a fun time. And hopefully we'll be able to get back to that soon.
One of my biggest highlights is that for our club, at least, we have an annual showcase, usually in May, and it's just so nice to see everyone working hard towards that and just being in a space where everyone's there to have a good time, but also there to work towards like a big goal. And just seeing the showcase with everyone playing and like everyone having a good time is just really rewarding, and it just shows how much work we put in throughout the year to make it happen. And yeah, just like standing there when like everyone's clapping, it's just a very nice feeling.
Last year, Red Zone put on a cornhole or bag toss competition where clubs could come. If you wanted to represent a club, you could win money for your club if you were to like win the tournament. And just seeing everyone from a lot of different clubs coming to one place and like getting competitive over cornhole was pretty exciting, and just really fun, I think, for everyone involved. And it felt kind of like the first time for me being at SU that there was a real sense of community and I could like feel it and it was all in one place. And so I think that was super rewarding and that everyone kind of felt the same. And so I think we're looking forward to putting on more events like that in the future.
Yeah, I would say a highlight for me and for my organization is we have 3 big events every year. And I think Quadstock is personally my favorite because last year I was on the committee for planning it. And so it's kind of like a little mini music festival that we do. It's like a concert towards the end of the year in spring quarter, and getting to plan it and like get to pick what artists are going to be there and kind of getting to harbor like the secret that everyone wants to know. It's like, who are we going to have for Quadstock this year? It's a really cool experience, and I'm glad that I got to be a part of it, even though Quadstock last year was canceled because of COVID. I'm still a little mad about it, but it's COVID. We gotta be safe. But I would say that that's definitely a highlight for me and for our organization, as well as all the other big events that we plan.
Is it okay if I share my favorite events? I think mine was, it's called International Dinner, usually hosted every February. So I had the opportunity to work as a programming assistant at the International Student Center and actually become one of the planning committee, become a part of the planning committee. So it's basically where we invited usually we have 200 300 attendees, and we have cultural dances, performers from a lot of cultures from around the world. We get to watch and hype Hidaka Taiko as well, performing at International Dinner. Shout out to Piani. And then we also get to try around 10 to 15 different dishes from around the world. And of course, as the planning committee, I bring some of the dishes home, so it was fun. So if you guys are gonna join Seattle University, I recommend you to search International Dinner every February. So yeah, that's my favorite event.
Adeline, you stole my event. My favorite event has also been International Dinner. Well, I love all of them, but that has also been my highlight for the year. Adeline already mentioned that it's hosted every February, and and I think it was also like one of those events where I had to co-host slash anchor with two other students, and it was just so exciting to see people from all different backgrounds come together, share meals, and learn about how a certain cuisine is made, and what the cultural dances are. Thank you so much, Peony. Shout out to Taka Taka. They always get the once more shout out from the audience each time we've had them. So yeah, that's definitely been my highlight the year as well. Should we dive into the Q&A, Adeline?
I think we should, but I don't see any questions in the Q&A just yet. So I invited all of you attendees to share your questions. It can be about involvement life. It can be about just curiosity about what is it like being a student at Seattle University. It can be anything about Seattle University. So please go ahead and type your question in the Q&A tabs. Yeah, for moderators as well. Oh, I think we have one question. Chavi, do you want to start us off?
Yes, so our first question is, how supportive is the university towards student organizations? For example, funding, freedom in pursuing projects, etc.
I'm happy to talk about this. SGSU is a very large funder of club events and activities that happen on campus. So often we have an appropriations process, which you can learn more about on our Instagram and our Facebook and our Twitter. Little shout out. And there we do multiple levels of funding. For a quick rundown of it, $500 or less, you just write a form and then we go through that process. 500 more, you come into the finance committee and you talk to some students. It seems really stressful. We're all very nice. We don't like to yell at people when they come in the room. And then if you ask for $2,000 or more, you come into our big rep assembly. But SGSU does a lot of funding for clubs.
If I could add to that point, I really feel that the school is really supportive and SGSU is on the funding part as well, because I see a lot of students in the business school trying to get their clubs getting appropriations through SGSU. Usually for small events where you might have just people coming in and for like a fall winter break time period where people just socialize, and then they might need some quick money for that, and you can do that with SGSU prior to the event. And I also think on the other aspects of supportive resources, right? I think there is something called CES, the Conference and Event Services, which helps students book rooms and get all the stuff they need for a certain event. And you also have a coordinator to help you with it. So you can sit down personally with them and tell them your specifications. Honestly, when I was hosting my first event, the larger one that I was talking about, if I didn't have this help, it would have probably taken 6 months to coordinate everything if I had to do it on my own. And getting an extra helping hand is always a nice thing, and that Seattle University does a terrific job at it. And also, when you talk about food, I mean, that's the favorite part, right? There's the Chartwells or the people who do the catering for school, they also have a coordinator to work with you. So you can look at pricing options and you give them your requirements and they customize your order according to your budget and your specifications. So I mean, how can things get more easier than this? For me, it wouldn't have. So with the help of all this support and resources, right, we were honestly able to pull off a great event in less than 2 months, which would have either taken more time if that wasn't the case without the resources. So it's all the interconnected web. I mean, one club complements each other, one organization complements all the other clubs, and all the students reap the benefits, and then the value goes out to all. So I think that's the best part about the community and the way that everyone supports each other in school. And it honestly makes the impossible possible. I mean, 6 months to 2 months is no joke, right? So yeah, thank you.
And in addition to what Jay and Marrakesh shared, I have seen the transfer of funds from departments, offices to club events, and also the generosity of other clubs giving and supporting other club events. So really very collaborative in that sense, so, and very giving.
Yeah, for the technical support side, SU is very supportive. I feel like reserving rooms, I feel like that should have been stressful, but it was fairly easy because when you're set up as one of the leadership roles in your club, you have access to a lot of things that a lot of the staff has access to. So there's not a lot of having to go through staff to kind of get reserve rooms or get equipment. You can just talk directly to the departments, which is really nice and makes it easy. And besides the technical support, the university offers a lot of trainings and different types of yeah, just like trainings and stuff that students could do. Like I know for clubs, you can request from like one of the departments on campus if you want to do like a leadership training for your club, or if you want to do like a training on yeah, I don't know, there's just like a lot out there for them. Yeah.
And I guess maybe don't be afraid to ask questions. Angel has been such a great resources and support for a lot of clubs involvement. Whenever I don't know what to do, I always reach out to Angel, knock at either email, or usually the fastest way for me is just they came to her office and knock at her door. And then after I share my concern and questions about the clubs, I usually just continue to share about my own life as well. But that's for another story. But yeah, just don't be afraid to ask to Angel and everyone in the office there. So yeah.
Sometimes we don't know the answers, but we'll definitely make the most effort to make sure that we find the place for answers for our clubs.
Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to mention again was the CSI office. They offer a lot of supplies. Like they have the huge rolls of just paper that you can use. Like it's open not 24/7, but you can just kind of take as much as you need or want to. And they also have the button machine that clubs can utilize. Like you would have to buy your own buttons, but they provide a lot of them like machinery that you can use that would be really expensive if you didn't have it.
All right. Thank you, everyone. Ready to move on to our next questions? So the second question is that, are there a lot of clubs open to join now, or will they open up to new members at the start of fall quarters?
So a lot of our clubs, all of our clubs, the way our club community function is very student-centered, community-centered. So it is up to the clubs whether they're accepting new membership or not. But from what I could see, that in Connect SU, there is that join button for every club page. So you're able to join that or contact the leadership that's on Connect SU. Their email is linked to their name, and feel free to connect with them.
All right. Thank you so much, Angel, for sharing that. Another question we have on here is, are there member limits for clubs, and are there screening processes for applicants?
I think if I understand the question, so our clubs, to be recognized, there should be a 6 minimum member requirement. But again, we also know that some communities need to be, to get the outreach to have recognition first. So usually we do a 1 month after recognition, and the clubs are able to do the recruitment and all of those pieces to be able to get that 6 minimum member requirement. And after 1 month, if I see that there hasn't met that requirement, we'll have a conversation again. It's not like a hard, like, no, you can't have this club, because each community is different. And, we have a club, it's like a game club where the little it's like a Dungeons and Dragons kind of club. It's like they started and all of a sudden it blew up.
Yeah, that's nice.
And the role-playing club, and then we have different club communities where it's difficult to do outreach. So and we understand that. In terms of screening process for membership for clubs, that's entirely up to the clubs. They have their own constitution and their own process that way. And I don't know if any of the club leaders here want to speak to that.
Well, just like personally, ISA is like you can, you can like reach out whenever you want. The president's email is listed on there on the Connect SU, but also you can reach out to me if you want to, because I still talk to her a lot. And I think, sorry, I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh, I know it also depends too, like Angel was saying, on the club and if they have like requirements to join, because I know there's some clubs that are more academic, like in the sense that they're under their college. Like I think it's the Albers Business. It's one of their Albers clubs, but I know you like have to be an Albers student to be able to join. But then there's also clubs that seem like they would be very specific for an audience, but they're not. Like I know my first year here, I was able to join the Engineers for a Sustainable Future. And I'm not an engineer student, but they were just kind of open to anybody joining that was interested in environmental justice type of work. So it does like entirely depend on the club, but I know a lot of them are really open to people joining, and there doesn't seem to be too much. I haven't heard of a club that has done a screening process in the sense that they like deny people. So
Adding to Joey's questions about the maximum number, I don't think we have a maximum number. I think we can invite as many friends as we want to join our clubs. And even though the clubs may be pertaining to a specific identity, for example, our cultural clubs, it doesn't mean that you need to have that specific ethnic or identity. We welcome everyone. And for example, I come from an Indonesian cultural clubs, and we welcome other culture to join my club because we want all of you to learn about my culture. So it's a learning club instead of like you need to have this specific identity to join. So yeah, invite as much friends as you love.
oh yeah, just to add on to that too, I don't think clubs have like a limit of how many members they have. I think it might just depend on events. Like they might have an event limit of people that can join, like depending what it is. Because just for example, there's a circus club on campus, and I'm a part of their email listserv, and I think on the listserv there's at least like 60 students on there, and I know like not all of them join, so there doesn't seem to be a limit, but they do have certain events where it's only like 20 or so people can join. So
All right, any more questions from audience members? Well, while we're waiting for more questions, I invited all of our panelists to share their contact information. Thank you, Mason, for already doing that. You can do that again if you want. You can share your contact information, your involvement in the chat. So maybe students, future students can join. They can reach out to you about your clubs and organizations. So yeah, feel free to do that in the chat.
while everyone's typing up their contact information, I just wanted to also share that Welcome Week will be August 31st through September 8th. And we have a Welcome Week Connect SU page, and a lot of clubs are already populating with their welcome meetings and events. So if new students want to join in and check it out, feel free to check out that Welcome Week Connect SU page. And throughout September also, so.
All right, any more questions before we close this off? Can wait for a bit. Last minute questions? All right, so to close things off, I just want to say thank you, everyone.
Oh, we
Thank
have
you.
one. Sorry.
Oh, you have one? Oh,
Yeah, go ahead, Adeline.
okay. Let's enter this one. Okay, Joel asks, for freshmen, is it recommended to join as many clubs as possible and see what fits, or to join a few and foster the relationship to those clubs?
For me personally, I think that varies on the person. I think for some people, they like, expanding out, looking at various things, and meeting as many people as possible. While some people will more enjoy that, getting those one or two close groups of people that you do really connect with. For me, I'm the latter one, but I know a bunch of people who are in 10 or so clubs, attend meetings fairly regularly in all of them and have a great time doing so. So it really just depends on how you what you would prefer.
Yeah, I would just say it doesn't hurt to get on, say, the email list and just say, I'm at least interested. What events are going on? Maybe you'll find something at some point that they're doing that you want to show up to. Like I said initially, I joined like a million clubs, signed up for everything. Did I actually go to many? I mean, a couple. I got the role play club. That I love that one. Um, but then my main focus ended up being the club I made, the robotics club. So I mean, yeah, it's really whatever you want to do.
Yeah, I think it depends too on the type of club you want to join, because like I was saying earlier, there's the more academic clubs, and I know those are more time consuming and they ask a lot more of students because they want like a certain level of commitment. But then there's also other clubs where it's just mostly social clubs to where they don't really mind if you miss meetings or if you can't make it to everything. So it kind of depends. So I think like you could probably do like an academic. You could do a few clubs. It just like they probably all can't be like academic. Maybe if they were all social, it wouldn't be as time consuming, but just kind of like picking and choosing what you want to do. Because you also have to remember too, like they're clubs and you could get a lot out of them, but like your academics are also very important. And so you just have to like learn how to, I guess, balance everything. But also if you do join clubs or if you do sign up for emails, you don't have to feel pressure to follow through with it if you don't want to. So that's just, yeah.
Any last thoughts? All right, last questions, I guess. Last call. All right. All right, to close things off, I just want to say thank you to all the panelists, Chavi, my fellow moderators, to Angel, and last but not the least, to the audience who have stayed with us through this session through the question and answer. I hope you can learn something from the stories, the vulnerabilities that have been shared here. I hope you can also gain your experience, gain your own stories when you get into Seattle University and find your own journey there. Chavi, any last word from you?
Thank you, Adeline. I would also like to thank you, Adeline, for being such an awesome co-moderator. Also, Angel, for putting it all together, for proposing our very first summer, club showcase. Also to everyone who's behind the scenes, put the Zoom together, and to all the panelists who've been so vulnerable in sharing their stories. I really appreciate each and every one of you for being so honest and keeping it all real. Thank you so much to our audience members for sticking with us all the way through, and hopefully we've answered all of your questions. If there is at any point you have another question, feel free to email. We've left all our emails in the chat. And thank you so much for such a great session.
And I want to say thank you to Chavi and to Adeline for a wonderful, engaging job, that we were all able to go deep and be as honest as we all can with the journeys and the history and your narratives, with your involvement story and your leadership story. And so thank you to Adeline and Chavi, and to our panelists. It's a busy time of the year. You're all current students trying to make sense of what this fall will look like. And I'm really grateful that you showed up so authentic, unapologetic, and just really sharing your truth. So I'm always inspired by our clubs. One thing wasn't mentioned is that how giving our club communities are. I process donations by our clubs giving to nonprofits all the time, especially in the last few months with the civil unrest that's happening. So I'm very inspired by the generosity, the thoughtfulness, and the compassion, and the civic engagement that our clubs and student organizations do and model for all of us staff and faculty, the university, and even outside the university. So I want to say thank you to all of you, and to our audience for taking time to listen and hear, and hope that it gives you reflection on what you want to do, what you want to be involved in, and explore your own leadership. Sometimes there's the club that you want isn't on the list. Feel free to reach out, and let's see how we can make your dream happen. I want to say that every student I've met at Seattle University, I've been at Seattle U for 10 years, it isn't the same story each time. And the story of your journey to even arrive at Seattle U is so precious and unique, and you contribute already. So your backgrounds, your experiences, your identities are so valuable in creating and building and sustaining community. And I just want to leave you all with this quote by Dorothy Day to end our time together. We have all known the long loneliness, and we have learned that the only solution is love, and that love comes with community. So thank you all for being part of our community, and on behalf of our club and org communities, my team and family at Center for Student Involvement, the Division of Student Development at Seattle University, thank you all so much for being here, and have a great evening.
Thank you.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You guys, I just realized I shared all my information, but only to the panelists.
Oh no.
No worries.
They're gonna
share that out, Henry.
Have a good rest of your day. Thank
Yeah,
you.
you too. Bye-bye.
Bye. Chavi.
We made it alive.
I know, we're still recording.
Oh my gosh.
It is.
So I have to edit this part out.